Hello everybody, and welcome to another StarCraft 2 cast by Imperator Z. We have another game sent in by the fans. A friend of Vipers, my first fan, and the second fan would be CommanderXk, and we don't have a third fan yet. Though I do actually have subscribers. I have 5 subscribers. I have no idea where they came from, but I'm happy I have them. I love to have subscribers. It makes me feel important. Makes me feel so important. I am awesome. Yeah, this is the point where Usman spams 450 APM. I have to say this is obviously a game with an observer. It's not a... what was that? Anyway, it's not a game with an observer. It is a game with an observer. With more spam coming up. Newbie spam. This is before the patch that nerfed the APM, as you might well see, and people are just spamming, especially Usman is spamming. And we have an observer, so this is a friendly game between friends, maybe even cousins. Right. My brain is kind of slow right now, so I don't really have much to say. We have the infamous pylon block probably coming up soon. I hate probes. I freaking hate them. They have to die. They all have to die. Meanwhile, our Zerg, he should not have been saving up for the hatchery, because what you always do against Protoss, because this happens and you can't stop it. Because this happens, you have to build your spawning pool for 14 and get rid of the pylon, because, well, otherwise you're just gonna be behind. Unless, of course, your Protoss buddy forgets to build probes. He's chrono boosting probes out here, but I think there was a hole between in the probe making, because it doesn't have enough. He doesn't have as many as he should have. We might be seeing a 4-gate here. We have 1 gas relatively early. We have the Zealot coming up and the Cybernetics core. Might be going warp gate and then add on. Yeah, this kind of looks like something 4-gate-ish. We'll see if he cuts probes at some point, but maybe he'll just cut probes because he sucks. Our Zerg here, in the meanwhile, is cutting drones because he sucks. And we have some scouting going on, always nice to scout. Could have mineral walked the drone in, you could have clicked on the mineral patches to get past the Zealot, but it's not all that important, you can see what's out. We have Chrono Boost coming up on the warp gate, which means we'll be seeing an earlier push instead of an expand. Otherwise he would more likely be chrono boosting his worker production, which he stopped at 15. Even for a 4-gate you stop at, I think, 22, 24, depending on what kind of weird 4-gate you're going for. But you don't stop now. You make more probes. Now he's making more probes. Always make more probes, always make more drones, always make more stuff. On the spending tab, the tab I like the most in the entire game, you can't really see anything of any importance because it's not actually very informative. It's cool, right? I mean, you see the Zerg is ahead in economy and Protoss is ahead in army size. Yeah, that's pretty much all you can see. And we can also see that on the army tab. Our Zerg buddy, meanwhile, is making more drones. And queens coming up. 1 queen, 2 queens. Always get those queens early as you can, because they are very good for your economy. We have an expand coming up. I did not expect that. I didn't. I expected a 4-gate from this. But it's a 1-gate Cybernetics core expand. I don't know about this. Usually the sentries would be helpful, but on this map there's just so much open space that I can't see sentries as being the viable option here, because Zergling run-bys would not be stopped by it. But since CommanderXk is not scouting whatsoever, the Zergling run-bys are not really a danger. He has researched speed quite a while ago. He's thrown all those minerals and gas into it, and he's not using it. He's not building any Zerglings to attack. And it's good to have speed in advance, but if you're not gonna even try to use it, no scouting with speed or no trying to run by stuff. It's actually a waste of money, a giant waste of money. Still, somehow he manages not to be behind on drones because his opponent is very bad at making probes. Make sure you have the chrono boost used. Hallucination being researched for scouting purposes. Probably better to just make a robo and get an observer. At this point in the game, you can go hallucination first, which is actually very good because it gets your scouting information very quick. And we have the Hydralisk then coming up. I don't think our Zerg has seen anything to tell him Hydralisk Dens will be good, except that they are good against gateway units, which there are some of right now. What does our Zerg see? How do you check this? They see... Yeah, he sees everything that's going on, but it doesn't look like it's everything that should be going on. Usually if I play against the Protoss and I see this, I think there should be more. There should be a Stargate somewhere, or a Robo, or 10 more gateways somewhere in the... Not 10, but you can go 6 gate on 2 base, maybe even 7, but that's all-inish. And... yeah, our Zerg starting to produce an army. He did see the second base being taken, so he should have tried to expand while sort of trying to stay alive. And he does not have enough drones for this. For the small army he has, there's not enough drones around. Now he sees it coming. He sees the push. I hate sentries so much. He sees the push coming. He sees the push coming, makes a Hydralisk. And this looks like he's gonna be transitioning into losing his whole army. Force fielding yourself off the enemy base is an important skill to have. Now he's going in there. He's going to fight these 2 Hydras. Inject coming up. The Queen's at way too much energy. Inject more. Never forget the injects. You're probably looking at the fight right now, but don't. The fight is not important. Can't do anything. I mean, you probably didn't do a single click in this fight, and if you did, it didn't do anything. I mean, you can focus fire, but if there's only 2 or 3 sentries left or stalkers left, what are you gonna focus fire? Everything's gonna die anyway, especially since you're on creep. Creep spread, it's not good, but it's there at least, and having creep is a lot better than not having creep, especially if you go Hydras. It's actually one of the most important things if you go Hydras. Think of the creep spread. Think of the creep. Way too few larva injects though. We have the Queen at a lot of energy, even though there's... I think she made at least 2 creep tumors. Our Protoss buddy, meanwhile, has just enough probes to saturate 1 base. On 2 base. But then our Zerg is just as bad. I think after that attack, he's probably doing the standard newbie mistake. He's not building any more drones because that's really all he needs. And I mean, a second attack could be coming, and it could still be easily fought off like we did last time, but it's still scary because stalkers, even though they die to what you have here, these nice Hydralisks. We should research this. You should research this, and you should make roaches. That's another thing. Hydralisks, they are good. They do lots of damage, but they can't tank. You need roaches to tank for the Hydralisks. It's not as important in a Protoss game without Colossi, but in a Zerg vs Zerg, for example, if you don't have Hydras, if you don't have roaches, your Hydras will die. Your Hydras will die to everything your opponent has, even though they do their shitloads of damage. Tons and tons of damage. A Nightwas network going up with Zerglings inside. Probably the worst units to put into a Nidus Swarm because they take forever to get out of it. Hydras are actually good to Nidus because they come out at the same speed as Zerglings and they do so much more damage, and well, they can kill whole bases if they are Nidused. I think I myself, I don't Nidus enough. I commend our friend CommanderXk for the Nidusing. I don't commend him for sucking, because he has not built a single drone. Oh, he has built a single drone. Oh, I take it back. He has built 1 single drone since I last checked. Our Protoss friend is dying. Cool. And we have a third base up for CommanderXk, but he can really do nothing about, with it because he doesn't have the drones to saturate it. Base is still dying. Still dying. Nidus Worm is here. Could get in more units, but it's not really a good idea. Could even have tried to get the Zerglings out. Not taking damage is always a good thing. And this is a sort of reactionary strategy. He thought of it too late, and so they have come too late. If they had come at the exact same time as the Zerglings, this would have been a lot more devastating than it already is. Still, it works. It works. You could even stay and fight this. No, never mind. Pull back, pull back. It's always good to pull back. Pull back and then push in again, pull back. Basic mechanics that every teenage boy knows. Still, way too much APM on Usman's side. It's probably concentrating on clicking instead of doing important stuff. Like, you know, building things. There's a Colossus coming up. But he's actually behind in workers, but not that much. What does that tell you? It tells us that the queens have not been injecting. This queen, oh, 200 energy. 200 energy queens. There's a queen slowly coming up here. Observer. And yeah, that's bad. These attacks, they actually put CommanderXk behind. Even besides all the even looking at all the damage he did. If he had just made drones and injected in that time, he would have been so much farther ahead than he is now. You can see army size wise, Usman is ahead because he had more probes for quite a long time, and well, right now he's probing up, he's making more, and believe it or not, he's slowly catching up. Mind you, I still don't think he's gonna win because that was just really devastating. But our Zerg friend, he seems to be stagnating now. He thinks he's won, so he's not making anything. Never mind, some Zerglings. Could have done this ages ago. Luckily enough, our Usman friend has not been making any defenses whatsoever. And that's kind of the problem with the Protoss Death Ball. Mind you, this is not a Death Ball, but it's got aspirations to be one. This thing is slow as hell. It's gonna obliterate everything in its path. It's gonna completely kill anything in a direct engagement. But if the Zerglings, instead of attacking, had gone around here and attacked the base, there would have been nothing that this could have done about it, and the base would have died. And that's how you combat Death Balls. Never fight them head on, especially with Hydras and Zerglings, because even one Colossus, and well, now it's two Colossi, they're gonna tear it apart. Still, amazingly enough, the worker lead of our Zerg, CommanderXk, it's not that devastating. I mean, technically it is devastating, but it's just a lot less than you'd think. After all these victories he got, he should have droned up, he should have droned up, he should have droned up, he should have droned up. And that's the first time I'm actually looking at the resource tab. And that's just indicative of one thing. And that's that CommanderXk has not been doing his injects. He's not been doing his injects. Tick. He has been conscientiously upgrading, which is good, but he's not been doing his injects. And yeah, against a competent player. I'm not saying that Usman is incompetent, but he's been so far behind that catching up is actually quite difficult, especially if you don't build enough probes. He's building 3 probes at once, but it's not gonna be enough now, because whenever he's attacked, he usually just chokes. But CommanderXk could have actually have lost the game if the Protoss had just, you know, worked on his economy even more. And that's just because he hasn't built enough drones, and because his queens are at 200 energy, which they should never ever be. Some Zergling run buys fun stuff. Ultralisks coming up, and level 3 upgrades for everything is, besides the armor. This is chitinous plating for the Ultralisks. And yeah, Ultralisks, they kill this. They kill it. The sentries can't force field, and the Colossi don't do that much damage, and the Ultralisks just roll. They roll it. Though you kind of do wish for the Ultra Charge ability. That's more against Terrans, I think, and to get into siege lines. I don't think Heart of the Swarm is gonna change Ultralisk play in PvZ all that much. Some Zerglings running into the Nidus Canal, probably. Yes, yes, yes. He's Nidusing again. At this point in the game, our Zerg should do something to keep his lead. He should be making more drones, or he should be attacking. Instead, he's being passive. This is the right way to be passive. You expand all over the map, and you make lots and lots of drones, which is not happening, sadly enough. But believe me, the right way to be passive, it's to do things. It's not to not do things. Being passive doesn't mean just to stand around with your army. This army could actually go over here and be a lot more threatening to our Protoss buddy, and he'd have to pull his whole army pretty much where it is now, and you could circling run by into this. Of course, right now there's photon cannons up, but there are cracklings out, and cracklings, they take care of photon cannons as if they were butter, or something else easily taken care of. Sorry. But watching this, it kind of makes me sick. You know, it looks like, I mean, I would not touch a Zerg with my bare hands. I think they would be infecting you just by touching them. Not that good an idea. The shadow of the Colossi, you know. That's also the shadow of the Colossi. I have to use that in future casts. You can see the shadows of the Colossi. These Hydras need to ride on a horse and sort of jump on the backs of the Colossi and then hit their weak points for massive damage. This is before the neural parasite nerf. It doesn't really matter. He wouldn't have had to do this, but it looks cool. Looks cool. And the game is over. It has been over since the Nidus thing, but well, some people just like to draw it out and torture their opponents. And some people like to draw it out, torture their opponents and their casters by not building drones. 180 energy, 179, 153. This base was just made. Its queen is relatively fresh, and please inject more. You could have the army that you have now, and you could have it 10 minutes earlier. Seriously, maybe never mind this Ultralisks, but you could have the army size that you have now in way earlier. I mean, even before they died in the attack, you could have had so much more stuff if you had just remembered your injects. The Protoss wasn't doing anything to hurt you. There was this little attack, and